Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and those in between and beyond. Welcome to the College of Inspiration, where we seek to inspire you with our role-playing adventures. Today we are continuing our Arkpoint campaign, our urban fantasy noir crime drama that explores crime and politics within the city of Arkpoint. I am Cosmo, he, him, host and game master for this campaign. I am joined by Scarlet Song, she, her,
Yo!
playing Miss Cotta. JuniperFinch, he, him, playing
Heyo.
Janus Amberwood. Rain, he, him, playing Scoop, the detective. And Alexander Chronist, he, him, playing the accountant.
Good afternoon, everyone.
A few quick announcecents. As always, the art for this campaign have been provided by our two wonderful artists, Scarlet Song and Eldritch Flatcap. And the music used throughout Arkpoint was composed by Kevin MacLeod. Right, and as of course we have our merch store, which we would love for you to check out all the fabulous little stickers and clothing articles that, once again, designed by our fabulous Scarlet Song.
Hehe.
Right, I think that's all the announcements out of the way. Let's get right into the session. Be a relatively tame one, the last one.
You say that, but
Well, yeah. There are other kinds of tension, I guess. Anyway, last time in Arkpoint, a brawl broke out in the Blackmoor Smelty as the accountant, Scoop, and Miss Cotta mounted a rescue of the young Janus and Azalea. During the fight, the use of Alchemist's Fire seemed to cause Scoop to momentarily forget where he was from. And despite laying as much hurt on the accountant as they could, the kidnappers realized the futility of continuing, and were talked down from fighting anymore. Their leader Hawk even agreed to hand over some evidence of their employer, but when he, Miss Cotta, and Scoop arrived at his apartment, they found it had been raided and the evidence gone. Meanwhile, the accountant escorted Janus and Azalea back to their homes and had a small one-on-one conversation before parting ways for the night. And that's where we were. That's where we left off. I think we will join back up with Scoop and Miss Cotta as they plan to head back to Scoop's office and debrief with the accountant after the events of the day.
who do you think it's been?
I'm not sure. Not a lot of clues there. But there's always a trail. That's how these stories
Yes.
go.
Well, you managed to pick up something. What was it? You seemed keen. Then perhaps I could tell, at least from the height I could see, these glasses don't do anything.
Just some hair. Light. Sort of like a orange or blonde.
What time is it, by the way?
The sun has definitely set at this point. It's like just gone into evening. People are finally sort of they've finished their trek home after their work. And yeah, so the streets are dark, lit dimly by the lanterns that line them. And you notice there's very little moon or starlight as well. There seems to be rolling clouds coming over. Potentially rain coming overnight.
Oh dear. I don't think the washing's out. It better not have been. Oh, we should probably make it back. The accountant said he was... Well, we were supposed to meet back at your place, right?
Well, that's the plan.
Alright. And there's like you see her like, as she kind of straightens up, there's a slight wince from her previous injuries. And she looks over to you. Kind of, there's that one eyebrow tilt with the subtle gaze of like taking you and just the energy of you in, and goes, so.
Yeah. So, that was a bit of a rough time. Well, we've cracked the case, found the missing kids, they've been returned home.
Lived
All that's
through a
left to
bit.
do is... sorry?
Lived through a bit.
Yeah, definitely. Janus will have a lot to talk about with his family and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Although, probably best to keep that on the down low and about all the scary things he's been through.
Janus is a smart lad.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more so than I give him credit for, which I do feel a little bit guilty about. It's just hard not to. And she pauses. Well, it's not hard. It's hard to not apply previous experience, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Tend to find that sometimes one case will give you inspiration for another.
There's this hesitation, and Mr. Scoop, are you all right?
Mm-hmm. Just hit my head a bit. My ankle's a little, and like shakes his foot, wobbly from falling down.
Do you still need any? Like, offers a hand out to heal.
No, it's all right. Nothing I can't sleep off.
All right. She's like really struggling because she's concerned. But she doesn't want to pry. But she's concerned. But she doesn't want to pry. And as we're kind of walking along, I think it's not silent or anything. There's just some small remarks. Scoop may ramble a little bit. But as she kind of goes through, she pauses and just stops. I think while you're in the middle of explaining something about forensics to her, and you get 10 feet away from her, and
Oh, sorry. Am I walking too fast?
well, no. What was that back there?
Scoop looks around, sort of takes in the sight literally behind you. Sort of like an alleyway. There was some markets.
No, I meant at the smelters. You froze up. You didn't seem to be calm, for sure.
Well, I bumped my head and I was just sort of out of it for a bit. Classic concussion stuff. Nothing to worry about.
She's giving you this really strong, piercing look. Would you tell me the truth? Or would you want to hide it for your own sake?
Honestly, not sure I understand the question.
You froze up. You reacted very negatively to the flames. You saw people in them. Or at least that's what you said.
Oh, well, I was
Informers weren't
just
there.
I was just thinking it just was very familiar, like an old story I once read where about dashing into flames to save people, that kind of thing. I'm afraid if I'm no stranger to running into burning buildings as we've seen.
No.
I hit my head too there. Maybe that's what I was thinking of.
What was the name of that protagonist?
Hmm?
I might have read the book. I do like to read.
Oh no, that was remember we found there was the arsonist and it was us. We did that.
She stares at you, long, slow. Waits. And as like, there's nothing I can do to have to. I suppose you might not think me the right person to tell, honestly. What? May I ask? I don't want to know if I should call for an insight check. But is he lying to me or himself? That's what I want to know.
You may roll an insight check, and Scoop may roll either deception or persuasion,
I will
whichever
elect
feels
to take
appropriate. You don't have to
I
tell
will
us which one.
elect to take 10.
What?
I will elect to take 10.
To just take a 10?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm rolling insight?
Yeah.
Yep.
11.
Woo! You can clearly tell Scoop's defensive, but not like not like he's trying to lie, more that like he's trying to sort of be evasive, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
He's it's sort of hard to explain. But you can tell he's shifting his gaze, he's moving about, his body language says, I want to be out of this situation.
Mm-hmm. And as she kind of reads that on you, and she's seen this sort of language before, and she stares like you down, I think what ends up happening, she takes a deep breath in, she sighs. I hope one day you'd be willing to tell me. I care about you. You're friendly, you're kind. And you deserve better. Probably. And
Well,
even if you don't, as she's like starts to walk past or up to you and then just keeps going, I know better than anyone what it's like to run away.
I'm not running away.
And she just keeps walking. There's like a disappointed like step to her gait, but she like remarks on like a local stream sign or something like that. But she won't push you. Not if you won't tell her.
Well, as you sort of make your distance further, Scoop just looks down at his feet for a bit, and then pulls at his crossbow and looks at it for a bit, and like runs his scaly taloned finger across a gold embossed piece in the grip, and goes, I'm not running away.
And we'll leave the two of them to make their way back to Scoop's office as we go back to the keep of Arkpoint, the home of the Amberwood family, as Janus Amberwood, son of Quincy Amberwood, lord of the city, makes his way into his house, battered, bruised, and probably a little exhausted. How is Janus feeling right now?
Very much exhausted. He has had a very long day. Part of his sort of tunic is like a bit bloodied up on the front. And there are sort of scuff marks all over him. He's bruised all over. He's sort of got scun knuckles. He hasn't really had a lot of time to recover since the fight the night before.
Yeah, as you make your way past like the guards at the front, they sort of see the state you're in, and they're like, give you a nod. They're like, "Oh, your father is waiting for you inside." You okay?
Takes a deep breath. Yeah. Yeah, I thought he might be. He's probably worried sick.
Yeah. All right. I'll let you in.
And he sort of takes another deep breath, straightens himself up, and almost marches in, like he's going somewhere formal.
As you make your way in, into the entry hall, so I hear a voice come from upstairs, where your father's office is. Like, Janus, is that you?
Yeah, it's me. I'm back.
And he comes into view, and he's like, "Oh," and stops when he sees the sort of state you're in. He's like, "What happened? Are you okay?"
It's kind of a long story. Sorry, I was out later than I said I would be.
I mean, he makes his way over to you. Janus, I'm just glad you're safe. And he wants to give you a big hug, but doesn't want to hurt your bruises or anything. Gives you sort of a gingerly wrap around, trying not to put any pressure on you. I mean, I was a little worried, but
he can probably feel some of the tender spots. You can certainly see a few of them.
I don't know, I thought you were out doing whatever you do that you've been with that detective. I didn't think you were any. What happened? We don't have to talk right now if you're not feeling up for it, but I mean, your mother's gonna see this in the morning, so
I'll make sure to get cleaned up.
Yes, sir.
I think I need to sit down.
We can talk later, but I'm just glad you're home safe.
Yeah, I'll head to my chamber and get cleaned up, I think.
You look like you need a rest. We'll talk in the morning.
Yeah.
Should we put a guard outside your room?
No, that won't be necessary. I don't think. Yeah, there's a certain irony. Well, no, maybe not irony. They didn't know who I was.
Oh. I mean, is that a good or bad thing? Do we think would have been worse, or?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
they weren't looking for. I suppose I can give you the short version before I get cleaned up.
Yeah, he's walking you slowly to your chamber. There, you've got some time.
So, Azalea showed me this nice bar down in Owlbear Flat.
Hmm?
And we had a few friends there, and some of Azalea's friends, and they all headed home after a bit. And I was walking Azalea back, and he kind of hitches his throat a little bit. And we got jumped.
Oh.
They were four of them. They wanted Azalea for some reason. Something to do with their father? Some of Mr. Ciderano's business?
Okay. I mean, he's a high-profile financial advisor. I guess that makes sense, though. Jumping a couple of kids in the middle of the night. That's...
They didn't want to hurt Azalea, I think. Well, no more than they had to, apparently. But they wanted to hurt Mr. Ciderano because someone's business went under. Someone's business broke down because of some business that Mr. Ciderano did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what.
I mean, we don't have to. We can look into it. Like we'll get the watch involved. Once you're feeling better, you can give a statement.
Yeah.
All that sort of stuff. Just you try and fight four guys off at once.
Oh. Technically 3.
Still, I can see why you're in this state.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Janus.
Yeah. If I were a bit smarter, I would have had the idea to catch a cat cab home or something. I think I'll do that next time.
It's a good plan. All right, and you arrive at your chamber and opens the door for you. See you in the morning. Well,
Yeah. I'll see you at breakfast. And Janus steps into his chamber, the cold stone walls feeling cavernous in the low light. He sits down heavily on his bed and reaches over to the stand where his armor is placed and gently places a hand on his armor.
as your father closed the doors. I love Janus.
Thank you, Dad.
Gives a small nod and closes the door.
And Janus slowly starts to curl it on himself. And soft tears start rolling down his cheek.
Drift away from your royal bed, well, not royal, but your lordly chamber, and down into the streets, into Old Town, maybe just outside, where we meet back up with the accountant. What is the accountant currently doing? What's his goal? Unmute, please.
Can we pick up from the carriage if that's all right?
The carriage? You're in a carriage?
Fantastic.
Yep.
The accountant drives around for a little while, just kind of asking the driver to just head in a direction, circle around for a while. He needs some time. And after perhaps 10-15 minutes, peers out at a familiar area and bangs on the roof a couple times to ask the driver to stop. And he pulls up out the front of a red brick building, a pretty unobtrusive looking place with a simple sign over the door. You can't quite probably read what it says except for the part that says bar at the bottom.
Yep.
And still, you know, he's I would say he's taken a moment to patch himself up to a degree that he's not just oozing blood at this point. But he's still ragged, still wearing the same clothes. And he heads in. He hasn't been here for a little while. He used to be here quite regularly until, you know, last few months or so. And he enters inside. It's quiet, especially at this time of day. And he's going to find a bar stool. And when a bartender comes over, he's going to ask for a whiskey and best leave the bottle. He's so wrapped up in his own thoughts at the moment, he really doesn't pay much attention to anything.
The bartender gives you a knowing nod, recognizes you, leaves the bottle.
Spends a good hot minute kind of staring. Well, no, he drinks the first drink quickly. The second one, he stares at for a moment longer, trying to work out what he's doing. Keeps an eye on the time, checking his watch every now and again, because he knows he has to be somewhere. And he has to be presentable pretty quickly. So he knows he can't, you know, do anything crazy.
I think as he's staring into this drink, probably old thoughts, old memories running through his head. I think we drift back to another city. Not a bar, but a cafe. Balcony. Cafe. Overlooking the rest of the city. You see this younger half-orc. Still scarred, but not as heavily. Sitting across from tall elven gentleman wearing crimson silk shirt, light hair sort of in braids draped over their shoulders, golden eyes, bright and full of life. They're picking at the fruit platter on the table, but definitely seem to be enjoying the cocktails. How are you doing?
You are...
Sorry.
Just going to say, you are far too liberal with your drink.
I mean, why not? You only live once.
If you continue that way, it will be much shorter than others. But he smiles, slightly coyishly.
Well, I mean, I'd much rather live a short and exciting life than long, boring one. That's for sure.
You say boring. I think it is more of routine. It is knowing. It's almost safer in a way.
You can see that. But I don't know. I like excitement. I like... You know you're living when the adrenaline is pumping through your veins. You can feel yourself be... That's when you know you're alive. You know
For
what
as
I
long
mean?
as it lasts.
Their eyes...
But yours is
Their eyes lock with yours, and you hear their voice in your head again. You certainly enjoy the adrenaline pumping last night.
He chokes a little, coughs. Well, unfortunately, we do not all have your gift of telepathy, dear Etherfall. Admittedly, life around you is pretty consistently exciting. Blood pumping, if you will. But it's also... And he looks actually shy, I would say, in a moment, as he pauses. And you just... How are you so free all the time? I know what you deal with on a daily basis. And if anyone were to look at you, they would say that you are a lavishing philanthropist. Obviously, that is not accurate. But nevertheless, you carry yourself like one all the same.
I guess it's just it's a matter of perspective, matter of attitude, you know. You live the life you want to live, and everything else around will probably fall in place.
Have you not wondered, though, what if it doesn't? What if it just comes crashing down around you?
Well, that's the most exciting thing of all, isn't it? I mean, I could never. And he gestures down at the street below you, where you see some bankers, like, going on their lunch break or whatever. Such routine, such safety. It's just not for me. You know, you'd never find me living my life as an accountant.
I mean, they are not so different from you, Etherfall. They have a job, as do we. It's just that ours is a little more personal, some would say.
Definitely not as secure. I've enjoyed these last couple of weeks with you. Such an exciting time just in meeting each other on those docks. But who knew where it was going to lead? Now we're here. What I live for.
You say that. I am sure there is still quite a ways to go. There are many things I have yet to explore about you, Etherfall. Eats a grape.
And Etherfall raises his glass. I will toast to that. Here's to
toasts a drink.
Here's to exploring much more of life.
They cheers.
And
He holds his hand for the rest of that dinner.
as that memory of that taste of that alcohol sort of playing in your mind, go back to that bar in Arkpoint. You were Probably drinking the same drink. Probably why your memory went back there.
He looks at the rest of the bottle, actually still with something in it. Yeah, maybe a little too liberal. He slides the bottle back, finishes the drink, of course, and then nods to the bartender as he makes his way out, hailing a carriage and heading towards Scoop and his office.
And with that, I think 3 of you meet up again in the dim light of the quite messy office of one Scoop.
She's resisting all urges to start filing and organizing alphabetically. Like, she's having to physically hold herself, like, tighten her hand around the basket a little bit more as they've entered in. What have we been talking about? Rain?
That's a tricky question. I'd say I just sort of slipped back as happy as I can be into spitting theories about this hair. About it's very fine. It's sort of like a maybe it's doesn't seem to be work hardened.
I list the number of blondes I know, and I'm like, couldn't be Ned. Ned can barely lift up the pots. Unless. And she starts to frown to herself and kind of go, do I need to do more of a background check of Nate? Really?
Has it all
Nate?
been a ruse?
Has it all been a ruse? That would suck. I don't want to kill him.
I think as you have that thought, does the accountant knock or just make his way in?
Oh, he knocks.
Yazoo.
I don't live here. What are you talking about? It's crazy.
There's a solid knock at the front door of the office.
Hand goes to basket, turns, sees the shadow, removes knife.
Good to see you fixed your door handle, Mr. Scoop.
Yeah, well, it's just a simple matter of replacing it with one of the new ones. And Scoop takes his last remaining glass and puts it somewhere.
Save. She, Miss Cotta, for her part, has like come straight up to you and just is inspecting to see if you need any more healing. Are you still dying?
I mean, I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, but how's like? Are you still looking roughed up? Are you still looking?
Oh, absolutely. You could see that he looks roughed up, but you can also see that he has deliberately applied like some bandages. Like they're not hidden, but he's definitely got them.
She like smiles a little bit at the sight of competency, for lack of a better word, and goes, I see you already know how to do that. And as she's kind of checking over it, may I? And she raises her hand over.
No, of course, please.
And I'm gonna spend my level 2 slot to do Cure Wounds. On you.
Alright, roll those hit points.
The accountant pays close attention and watches Miss Cotta's hands as she moves.
You'll notice from the get-go that Miss Cotta's hands they're rough. They're covered in scratches that have like healed, and there's some not scarring, though you could call it that. That's been just at the edges, especially around like the fingers, where they've like clearly handled something sharp more than once. Who knows? Might be the knives, just maybe. So as she's kind of healing you over, you see like there's not really a reverence she has to it. There's no like fanciful way she handles, but as she kind of puts her hands on the bandages, that same purple light that you've seen as she smote people out of left field and knocked them unconscious to death in one hit, sort of manifests itself in like a softer, more pastel shade of purple. It sort of embeds and weaves almost like extra fibers on the bandages instead. And you feel that grand total of 15 hit points hit you back to make you feel that little bit better, as she's kind of just concerned, and she doesn't regard, she's regarding the injury and the person underneath it. There's this sort of practiced care. She's had to heal many people before, but she is making sure that you're all right, for lack of a better word. Any better?
Much.
She nods, lightly wincing, but nods all the same, and straightens back up.
And yourself?
Oh, I'll handle myself a little bit better later. I'll be fine.
He kind of like does that slight lean that like clearly wouldn't see anything, but just to indicate that he's looking. Well, you
She
at least
doesn't.
bandaged it.
She hasn't. But you can't tell, because she still has the hat on.
Yeah, I can look in her face.
She's not the best liar, even though she's pretty good at it. She's like, when I'm somewhere a little bit more, no offense intended, Mr. Scoop, defensible, there's some repairs I also need to make, so, I was actually gonna ask if, actually, no. We should focus on the other thing first. And she like lightly turns her head to Mr. Scoop. So there was nothing at the apartment, right, Mr. Scoop?
Just a bit of blonde hair. And I pull out my thing and give it a show. Apart from that, they cover the tracks well.
They also weren't subtle about the maneuvering of the stuff inside the house. There wasn't any marks that we could see. It was thorough. Wouldn't say professional, but rather close.
Unfortunately, got away with whatever evidence he had.
So I take it our friend was not as helpful as ideally would have been.
You're correct.
No, but they seemed grateful at the very least that they'd received help. And that face that's sort of like, she's thinking of Carmen right now. Perhaps an ally one day. She's thinking on her face more so than anything else. But other than that, can't say it was the most useful. Is Janus alright? Is he alright? Did he make it back safe? So
Yes, young Master Janus has returned home, as is the young Azalea, both safe and sound.
He's a bloody trooper, that one. I don't know. At least I've had in the past. She's thinking of other people now. I'm amazed he held it together.
Well, he's a strong kid.
Yes.
Smart.
But, no, it's probably best he takes some time to rest. It has been the effects have worn on him, for sure. But I have no doubt he will grow stronger as a result of this unfortunate circumstance.
I hear you. There's a lot of emotions going over Miss Cotta's face right now, but she's holding them back to the main part. So what do we want to do with this? in total? Like, what can we do? We know that somebody's after, well, the family. We know that they have employed not once but twice now individuals that stir stuff up. Their words for both times, actually. Only to cause trouble.
I think
Love-
yes.
Last time I went pretty high up.
This is technically higher, isn't it?
Inadvertently, perhaps.
By association, at least.
Alright, as far as I can understand here, this is, how would you say it? This town has been under the guiding hand of Mr. Otello for quite some time, predating myself comfortably. If one were to be making a play that threatened that control, this form of disruption, these destabilizations, if you will, would be a very good first step. Break the faith that the Otello family still has control.
I don't.
Hmm.
In my history, with what I know of
Mhm.
Mr. Otello and the family, do I remember anything being told? Any particular individuals I may have had to say hi to briefly in my line of work back then?
I mean, give me a history roll.
It's been a while.
What particular kind of individuals are you thinking of? Like, what information?
Do I remember in my knowledge of the way or the conversations I may have had with Mr. Otello and the Don, just like if they had anybody who felt like a thorn in their side, or there was any sort of tension or worry. And for that, it was a 13.
Okay. I mean, there's the obvious one in your past, the big one, in terms of multiple people.
I mean, yeah, maybe. If the DM would like to tell everyone what those are, I wouldn't say no, but I'm just not. I'm trying to recall in this moment.
Right. So, there was.
Sorry, I'm being
There was-
stared at.
Obviously, you do remember almost decades ago at this point.
Yeah, it was quite
Probably close to 20-ish years. You know, maybe a little bit more. There was an attempt, or there was a plan to usurp the
yeah,
Don. There was
that one.
there was a coup that was swiftly dealt with. Honestly, yeah. The
Yeah.
all
I
the
want.
offending members of the family sort of ended up dead within a night.
I wonder who did that.
And basically since that time, there hasn't been much in the way of like dissenters amongst the Otello family, because everyone's kind of terrified of the terror of the Dawn, and what would happen to them if they turned against Mr. Otello.
And the terror hasn't been there for a while.
Just quickly, how was that last bit said out loud in your numination?
Oh, I would love it to be. Yes, please. Thank you. Just like, the terror hasn't been there for a while.
I want to note that this whole time Scoop's just writing down names that people are saying, because he has literally never heard them before.
Oh, actually, would Scoop have any insight into like having heard? Because that was a huge incident that happened 2 decades back.
Yes. I would
Scoop
say
is
Scoop was
that time.
actually out of the city at the time.
So, sir, I just want to clarify. I'm pretty correct here in my thinking. I didn't live here,
No.
and Scoop didn't live here, and Janus didn't live yet.
Oh,
Cool.
Genesis-
Just clarifying
yeah.
that point.
Mm-hmm.
I
Very
don't.
convenient.
I think this all happened just a little bit before
Yeah.
Janus's birth.
All right. So, on that note,
Sorry, DM. I didn't actually ask. Do I recognize the blonde hair, or do I know anyone with blonde hair?
You can roll me a history check.
Thank you. 15.
I mean, you've known people with blonde hair.
Okay, fair point.
Yeah, there's quite a few in the city. Like none that you think of at the top, like off the top of your head, that could be responsible for breaking into someone's house and stealing stuff and getting away.
Yeah.
all right.
It very well might be something we just have to sit on for a while.
I hate that.
Agreed.
I understand, but I hate that.
But if the past track record is anything to indicate future behaviors, it will happen again in some form or another. Whatever outcome they are aiming for is not complete, and those organizing it are still walking around freely.
All right. Well, or it's someone taking power for personal gain, personal reasons, maybe. I don't know. This feels calculated. This feels like you're poking holes at defenses.
The only way that you could try and do it. No one would be foolish enough to attempt a half-thought-out plan against the Dawn. Not in this day and age.
There's a like, you distinctly see like this sad I know something of concern face that crosses over Miss Cotta's face, that if you catch her eye, she kind of makes the motion, I will tell you later kind of thing. Yes. Well, I'm sure. I mean, they're brilliant, so I'm sure they're fine. They'll have things in place. And you're not sure who she's talking about with that sort of thing. Well,
Which
Unfortunate-
leaves us...
no, you
No.
first. No, you first.
Which I believe leaves us as an impasse.
Him ass. Well, it seems like quite a tangled weave we've stumbled into. At this point, they're probably going to ground. Might be biding their time. Perhaps the only way to shake loose what might be happening here. Well, you know what they say. Sometimes the only way to get a cat out of a tree is to shake the hell out of that tree.
Have you ever tried to get a cat out of the tree, Mr. Scoop?
Once.
How did that end?
Good thing I'm, well, easy. I'm covered in scales, and that was really good against the little knives on the end of its legs.
You mean the claws?
Yeah, those things.
Right.
It was not happy.
Scoop has claws.
Talons.
No,
Yeah.
he's got knife things on the end of his fingers.
Yeah, that's fair.
Alright. Well, I'll keep my ear out, at least around, what noble, especially with the event coming up. I've got so much. Oh, right. Lady Sanguis has, an individual over from, oh, gosh, where was it? I say, not checking my notes of the backstory information that I'm supposed to be having.
Miss Cotta reading through a book real quickly.
Where was
Hey,
Dame Naval from?
Dame Naval is from the city of Seraphor.
Oh, yes. Lady Sanguis has a guest from Seraphor currently visiting to help out the rehabilitation center they're starting up. So I've been pretty busy prepping the house, and the event should be soon, actually. I'll probably see Janus there. I'll just probably be serving drinks again. What canapes? It'll be again, I guess. Almost like old times, which I wouldn't look on fondly, because that's the reason we need there's a rehabilitation center happening in the first place. Poor Lady Sanguis. This can't be easy, and I'll need to get back soon.
Well, do you mind if I accompany you back?
Oh,
It is getting
I'm-
late.
Oh no, I wouldn't mind the company back. Yes, I suppose. Mr. Scoop, do you need anything?
Well, at the moment, I'm trying to figure out how I can get myself an invite to this event. It seems pretty high profile. Maybe something might go down there.
Well,
You'll probably need someone to watching out for trouble.
From memory, wouldn't you might be on the list, actually.
Really?
I am
Don't-
sure an invitation could be organized.
Wouldn't be too difficult. I could technically just write it myself, but that's more of Nate's job, and I don't want to interrupt Lady Sanguis's list, and I'm sure the Dame would have had some input too, so who knows.
Well, regardless, it's always good to have a backup plan in case I'm not on that list. I'll
Alright,
need some
will
rope.
do. Understood.
Maybe
Thank you.
Maybe a mat. Throw it over the
Um,
fence. Climb over. Perhaps squeeze for a bar. Does anyone have a fire?
I'm sure you won't need to break in. Though it is a formal event, I hope you have some formal attire prepped.
Oh, looks to his closet, which is mostly just overcoats.
He's got 15 of the same overcoat.
Big bag of chalk right at the bottom of it.
Oh my god. It says for local school.
On the inside of the doors to the wardrobe, he's got like 3 different holsters, like the double arm ones that you wear.
Yep.
The thigh bandoliers.
Yep.
A very secret, like Derringer holster for a tail.
Crazy thing is, I was like, how do you holster a crossbow nicely?
I
Oh, we're not all
tried.
for crossbows.
I'll tell you, as the artist of these sprites, I tried.
I'm just going to assume it has collapsible
Yeah.
things.
I
mean-
imagined it kind of like a compass, so it's sort of like a sling sort of shape leather that you can just kind of hook in and then pull out, like it's got a notch.
Mm.
I can see that.
Anyway, alright, well, you all know how to contact me. It's not like I have one of those fancy rocks, but I do my best.
Well, I just call your workplace.
Yes, be careful with that. It's technically the home of my mistress.
Yeah, but like, you seem to always pick up, so.
I don't usually pick up, it's usually Nate.
Oh yeah, that guy. Well, Nate usually gives it to you when asked, or in any way, shape, or form prompted, or if asked a question, it's a bit too stressful.
Yes, he's working on that. He's doing better. He answered the salesperson the other day. That's why we have so many bags of salt at the moment.
Hmm.
Mm.
All right, anyway. Oh,
Wonder how I could use bags of salt. Looks like you're coming handy.
I think as
Just
Scoop is pondering this, Cotta
starts
and the
to
accountant make their way out
slowly exit.
of Scoop's office, onto the docklands of Sharktooth.
As they leave, Scoop just goes and sits on his couch and closes the door behind them, pulls out his crossbow and starts to look at the coin of the grip again. And just ponders it for a while sitting.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
What does
Why
any
he's
of it mean?
pondering it.
Nah!
Something special about his number 9. But as Miss Cotter and the accountant step out, the rain from earlier has swept in.
Oh,
It's starting to
lordy.
pour down.
She
Bit of a
gets at her.
summer
sorry.
storm.
That blew in rather quick. Reaches down, brings out her umbrella, and then attempts to lift it high enough for the accountant.
I don't think that will cover us both.
Oh, I'm sure it'll happen. It just, I can walk on my tippy toes.
Well, how about you let me carry it? My arms are a little longer.
She takes a minute, compares. Oh, that's actually quite fair. I didn't even think of that. Lets it go. You can hear the distinct ting, 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 as you very quickly realize that this umbrella is made out of like a solid metal. Because you haven't realized. I don't think you've interacted with this umbrella yet. Solid metal. As you have held the handle, you realize that it's got kind of a sword-like grip a little bit, just a touch, just a tiny bit. Oh yes.
You know, that explains quite a lot, actually.
Does it?
Yeah. I always wondered how that it didn't melt up in that first fire.
Well, it was one of the sort of last gifts, I suppose. I don't know, Lord Sanguis just kind of started leaving stuff like that around the place. I don't even know why. I think at one point I'd said, this would make a decent weapon out of habit, right? Just to the broom. And the next thing you know, I have a broom that's a halberd. It just replaced it one day. I don't even know why. Can't sweep up with a halberd.
In all honesty, I thought that you just made that. There's clear, obvious practical purposes.
Oh, no. I'm not that smart. Definitely not.
It's combined an axe with a broom. Yes, you are.
I said it would be a weapon. I think it was Lord Sanquist that probably thought that. I'm more of a... Well, you would know. I'm more of a poisons type. Anyway. And as we're like, kind of, we're in this... it's the titting under this. She's starting to... We start heading away, and she actually requests to head to yours for a second, if it's possible, because she needs to heal herself still. And
Most. I have all the time.
she stares at you. Are you sure?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. I should probably get everything repaired up before I get back. I've only got a couple of these shirts and this sort of thing, so it shouldn't take long.
Perhaps if this becomes a regularity, we could store some of your shirts. Or at Scoop's place.
It's honestly fair. That'd be quite smart, actually. I only have 3, which is why...
You only have 3.
Well, of course. I don't need more than 3. I rinse them regularly. I'm in charge of the washing day. They get washed.
I am the accountant, and even I have more than 3 shirts.
I don't... Honestly, I only had 1 for the longest time, and then, well, the twins insisted. When they found out, at least. I don't tend to own many things. I don't like owning things. It's not right sometimes, or at least doesn't feel it.
Miss Cotta,
Yes.
actually, I don't think I've ever asked. What do you prefer, name-wise?
Hard question. Miss Cotta's fine. Cotta's fine. I don't know if I can be Terror right now. I don't know if I'm allowed to be.
Well, Miss Cotta,
Sorry.
unless there is far, far greater things going on that I am unaware of, I am confident in saying you can be whoever you want. At least when kind of looks back out to the street. I mean, when we are in company. I won't judge you.
You might if you knew.
Quid pro quo, Miss Cotta.
Oh, I have no room to judge anyone, ever. I may say and complain and pick, but I'm not actually judging. I don't... She kind of makes this sort of like deep-seated frown. Gates, like the way she walks slows a little bit, to the point where she almost gets hit with a few drops, but you're probably observant enough that you're like, ooh. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to making a name for myself like this, I guess, is the right way to put it, technically.
But it does mean it can be whatever you want.
And what about you? Did you pick the accountant for a reason? Or was that given to you too?
It was half of a gift. The other half was an insult.
Isn't it always the way?
But I didn't have anything better at the time, so I took it.
How did you make the decision to not be who you were? It's been, and she looks visibly upset, so much harder than I thought it could be. Just so much harder. I know it was the right decision, probably, but... I don't deserve this.
Miss Cotta. It's funny you asked that question. I was only recently thinking it myself. And I think there is an answer. Maybe. And what I am learning, I hope, is perhaps doing it by yourself is not the best way. And maybe not even the right way.
What? I shouldn't even be allowed to do this. And as like I think she doesn't fully, but she realizes where she is and kind of like re-straightens up and winces again. I'm sorry. Can we get inside? I'm really. It's not.
Please.
It's like the worst conditions if anybody were to. I mean, honestly, come after us. It's not the first time. It's not the first time.
Miss Cotta,
Yes.
the last 4 times anyone has come after us, nothing has come of it.
Yet.
I cannot... Actually... Yeah, let's get you inside.
Thank you.
He opens the door to the place, to his house. You can hear the sound of Prague making his way down the stairs.
Prague immediate. This Cotta upon seeing Prague, just big hands. Pet the dog. Pet the dog.
Big pitbull Prague
yeah.
just nuzzles into you and pants happily.
And as soon as they're in, the hat comes off. Probably semi-pushed off as well. This may take a second. But as the hat falls off, the accountant sees that... what is the wound? Because I just know I've been hit. I don't know how bad it is. And I know it's damaged my shirt, at least.
Yeah, so it was a big, it was a sword slash across the back, probably, goes from the top of your left shoulder, diagonally down, about just past your, like, the middle of your back.
And as that, where the fabric is sort of split open a little, it's repairable. And the accountant would have seen that most of Miss Cotta's clothes have been repaired, like lovingly repaired, multiple times. This shirt's no different. There are more marks in the back that I think were obvious from the beginning. But the shirt that's split open, you can see the colors. Like, it's blood's dried, though it has been cleaned up a little bit. Just a touch, not much, honestly. There are reds and oranges and blues and cyans and just swirling sort of patterns that you can kind of catch just underneath. And I don't know how much is seen other than that. But
I mean, the accountant is an observant man, but like it's not a huge, like, it's a small sort of slit in your clothing.
But
Not
it's
a
the
huge.
back.
Yeah.
So you may see a couple of bumps
Hmm.
on the back of her. Oh, Prague. Down, I'm injured, alright? Calm yourself.
He's like was trying to sniff around in your basket for anything, but as you tell him to back off, sort of walks away and sits on his little bed.
My heart. Alright. This is gonna sound even more awkward. Do you have something I can cover myself with while I repair this? Proper?
Oh, right. Yes.
I don't.
You can
think
see it.
awkward.
I say, like, you see at this point the accountant's in the kitchen, and he's like grabbing iodine and some like bandages out of a cupboard, and goes, "Oh, right, magic." Yeah, no, of course. Yeah, and he quickly walks off to his bedroom, and spends like a little bit longer than probably you would expect. As he's like looking through this wardrobe of just shirts. Like, it's like gonna be a nice one. Yeah, that one. Just kind of looks at it, knowing that it's like this shirt's gone. This is not coming back. That's fine.
Oh.
He like, goes to walk out, thinks better of it, takes it off the coat hanger, puts that on the bed, and comes out with like a slightly scrumpled shirt.
Ooh, he is good. Oh, thanks, Despair. Oh, I'm sorry. It might. Hopefully, not. It won't get too. It should have dried by now. She's gonna go to a room somewhere with a blockade of separation to heal. Firstly, she takes off her top half, and she has to use some sort of mirror. So she'll probably ask where one of those are.
No, please, you can just use the bedroom. Close the door,
like
you'll have all the
in.
privacy you need.
First thought upon seeing they're just like, he wasn't kidding about the number of clothes. Like, these are quite a number of shirts. And how much should I reveal? I have no idea. It's up to me.
It's up to you. This is your backstory
All right.
stuff.
This is so as the cat. It's like she strips off a couple of layers, and Miss Cotta, for all parts, dresses incredibly conservatively. She barely shows any skin. So when she pulls off the remainder and is checking herself in the mirror, the camera sees swirling, gorgeous inkwork. Some inlay of some sort of plant. It's like poisonous flowers, but they're mixed with fire and water and just swirling patterns just all across her back and her forearms. Just the upper, sorry, not forearms, the upper part of her arm. Bicep? No, not bicep. What's this?
Upper arm.
Tricep? Upper arm. And they crawl a little bit over her shoulders as well. As she's kind of inspecting it, she runs her hand over her back, kind of stares, like looking up, putting hand. And I will heal that up with my last remaining spell slot, because I was gonna spend them all if you weren't gonna heal yourself. Conveniently for a grand total of 3 hit points.
It's enough to close the
Which is
wound.
probably just enough to close the wound, and she's like, well, that shouldn't get it bloody at least. And she kind of inspects herself in the mirror. She doesn't look at herself in a mirror very often. She doesn't, unless it's to make sure she's neat, she doesn't have a chance. And as she's kind of looking over, it's just like, and she runs her hands over it and she stares at it and she goes, I'm really sorry I wrecked it. You shouldn't have given it to me in the first place. And she pulls herself together a little bit more, puts on the shirt. reaches in her basket for a sewing kit, but she starts, and she can't stop. She can't stop crying. And it's like she's trying to be so quiet, so quiet. She's not a loud crier by any means. She doesn't bawl, she doesn't like break down. She's such a quiet crier that honestly, if the accountant didn't have observant, I wouldn't tell you that you can probably hear it.
Mountain kind of thinks for a moment, hearing this from the other room. And I think you see as he like goes to take a step and then kind of falters for a moment. And he looks over. And he looks at Prague. Prague looks at the door, because Prague's way smarter than the accountant. Accountant nods to Prague. Prague's always right in matters like this. Prague's smart. He goes over to the door, raps on it quietly.
Sorry, I'll be just a second.
No. Miss Cotta.
Yes.
Would you like to talk to me?
I honestly think I'm really scared that you'll help. You'll hate me if you find out.
I'm not going to hate you, Miss Cotta. Far, far from it.
You should, because I don't know how to not hate myself.
He turns the door handle and like kind of cracks it open just to see if there's any immediate like don't open the door thing. Hearing nothing, he's gonna open it slowly. Miss Cotta, you are going to judge yourself much harsher than I ever could. I want to listen. I want to understand you.
She's like kind of caught up and then nodding slowly. You see it's like her hair's a little disheveled from like having to take off clothes. She's in the stupidly large shirt. That's kind of she's kind of tucked up, but it's just over. She hasn't done a proper job of neatening herself, and she recognizes that, but she can't stop. She just keeps rubbing her eyes, and is just so desperately trying to keep quiet. But you've heard, and she can't stop. And she just kind of drops to her knees a little and won't stop shaking. I'm sorry.
The accountant makes his way over and he crouches next to her. This enveloping mass of a person. But as gently as is humanly possible, he places a hand on your shoulder. Miss Cotta, you do not have to apologize to me. But if you would like to talk to me, you have my complete and undivided attention.
She doesn't know where to start. I think it takes her a good few minutes of just shaking. She hasn't cried much. She's cried herself to sleep some nights. She's cried herself when it's gotten too stressful, but she hasn't cried to anyone since she left all those months ago.
don't think it's intentional, but I do think that his hand will slide across your shoulders to the other side and naturally bring Miss Cotta in. And just hold her.
She honestly, in a way that is quite way more like desperate than you might even realize, she just turns her head in, but she's had to fight every single piece of her to say that it's okay to do that. And she just starts to sob, louder this time. But I left them. And I didn't say goodbye. I promised I'd take care of them, but they didn't need any more. I'd just be in the way. I couldn't make that decision. I couldn't do that. I couldn't. I love them so much, but I'm not supposed to. I'm not supposed to do that. I shouldn't. That never came to tea. Oh no. It must hate me so much, but I had to. They're so brilliant. They're so brilliant and beautiful, and they're so much better off without me. I'm just dirt. I'm not supposed to be here. I'm not even supposed to be alive right now. Should have just left me there to burn like the others. I don't know why he reached his hand out. He should have walked over me like everyone else. It was my place.
Miss Cotta, that's not your place. And I do not care however many times you say it. You have brought something wonderful into my life. And I mean that sincerely. My life is better for having you in it. And I don't know what you've gone through to get here. I can only imagine. And from what I can think of, it wasn't good. And it wasn't easy. But you do so much for the people in your life. You are such a force for good. Whether you believe that or not, no matter where you have come from, what you have done, the person you have been. Because the person that you are is something fantastic.
She can't meet your gaze. She tries, but she's just... Nope. I don't know what you see in me. I'm just grateful you think of me, a friend.
How could I not?
Because the last people who considered me friends, I had to leave behind. I'm not allowed to have friends. Tara wasn't. I thought I could. I thought I'd finally be happy. And then I couldn't choose, and I wouldn't choose, and I left everyone I loved. Because they're better off. They just are. They just are.
Is that what you tell yourself? Or is that what they told you? Because I'm pretty certain it is the former. Because anyone who has ever met you would not think that.
Well, that's where you'd be wrong. Because they have. But I'm so sorry. I shouldn't.
Miss Cotta,
Yes.
with all due respect, I'm not the one who is wrong here. You are mistaken. Because there is a young man I delivered home to his father not a few hours ago who thinks the world of you. He is gonna grow into one of the best people I will ever know. And that is no short. And there is certainty that your influence has helped create that. Your love, your generosity, your care. Do not discredit those things. They're more valuable than any gold, platinum, or copper. And they are not free.
Never liked money.
It is unfortunate that our currency is that of blood, or at least in your case was.
And other things. But money. Thank you for listening. I'm also very sorry. I don't know what happened in there, but if either Panama or Ricky ever will cause you strife, sorry.
I think I have a better picture now than previously. And I understand your position a little bit more.
She's listening, but as she's kind of fiddling, there's this small smile that crosses her face as she's just so sad. And they used to hate storms when they were young. And then they'd run out in them like idiots. I miss them so much.
I am aware of what I am unaware of, as it were. But what I know is that both Ricky and Panama, in their own right, are very much enjoying life. They are doing whatever it is they do, but nevertheless they seem in good spirits. Still on this mortal coil, as are you. I can see how much you miss them, but what I will remind you, as you said, if you want something, just gotta ask. Build bridges can be rebuilt.
can't ask. But I'm glad that they're okay without me. Oh, that's honestly a relief. Knew they'd be fine. And she, like, as she realizes that, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. And she tries to pull away. And you like let her go, or she stays in the hook, or
He doesn't move in any way whatsoever.
Mr. Compton, I'm already getting one of your shirts dirty. I'd hate to get the other one just covered in. Oh gosh, I'm so
Miss Cotta,
sorry.
just give me a moment.
She pauses. Do you need a hug too?
He doesn't answer.
And she
Kind of
does
just
it
takes a
anyway.
moment to stare at the window.
She'll reach her
Thank
arms
you.
up and give you a hug. Yep.
I think we'll spend a little bit in this embrace. Enjoying each other's company. While Prague, through the door, seems to give like a slight nod. Nest into
That's my
into
boy.
sleep.
Wing dog.
Wig dog.
Oh. Oh man.
And I'm guessing eventually, Miss Cotta, you
Yep.
finish your repairs.
Yep.
Get changed. Make your way.
She'll before she does leave, she will explain in summary that she was the guardian of Ricky and Panama from when they were very small. Like Mr. Otello gave her them as charges, essentially. She doesn't go much further in terms of like other details. It's not that she doesn't want to tell you, it's that she doesn't think it's her place. And that's something that you very easily read as she's repairing. She makes sure your shirt's clean. If I had prestidigitation, this would be easier, but you know, that's why we build flawed characters. But she basically says as much before she has to take her leave, and she's so grateful. She has no idea when she'll see you again, but it's nods.
And I will leave you with this.
Mm.
You think that somehow you have done wrong by them, and again, I do not know the full story. But what I can say is that this many years onwards, you still worry if they are afraid of storms. And I could never earn enough money to pay for that feeling that you give to them, whether they know it or not. Just something to think on.
Thank you. Are you gonna be okay by yourself? I suppose you have Prague.
Actually, you I was going to ask after.
Oh, I like the rain. I only started using the umbrella after I was given it. It reminds me of the night. Once.
You sure I cannot arrange for a carriage or something?
It's fine. I'll be pretty fast. And, well, honestly, I think I could use the shower. Thank you.
Smiles.
And like she nods, very grateful and like formally, but then also just small smiles, and then heads back to Lady Sanguis's. She makes it hopefully way before the dawn curfew.
Yeah, you make it before dawn.
She goes
Probably
to the
not
back
long,
door
just-
so she doesn't get.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
just a little after midnight.
Yep. Yeah.
When you arrive back in your chamber,
Mhm.
there's this small envelope just resting on the bedside table.
Do I recognize the handwriting?
Have you seen the hand? I don't think you've seen this handwriting before.
I look at it hesitantly. Who's it addressed to?
Miss Cotta?
I would say Miss Cotta.
And like she calms down a little. She opens it with like first she like checks it over like a candle to see if it's, the this standard affair. Takes this like pull from the edge of her cardigan, pulls out a knife, and like untucks it delicately, and begins to read? Question mark.
Miss Cotta. A long time ago, a man once gave me a chance to be something more than I was. A long time has since passed, and in my fear and hubris, I have returned to the safety of being less. But you look at me in a way that reminds me of the person I could have been. And with you, I want to be that person. With your blessing, I ask that you share dinner with me. Not as friends, but as something new. It is with no small amount of trepidation that I ask. But sometimes that's all you have to do. Sincerely, Mr. Accountant.
And as she like looks at it, rereads it a couple of times, her brow furrows, and does he mean business partners?
And I think with that, we'll.
I'm sorry, she is dense as shit. You need more than that.
But
It's
It's alright, I'll do it again.
like, I was just at his place. Why didn't he ask for me for dinner then?
That's where we'll end today's session.
Oh boy.
Oh, that was a.
Spicy meatball.
Oh yeah.
Trauma shipping.
Trauma.
Trauma shipping.
Oh my god, we're trauma bonding.
Oh, it's true.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god, that was great though. Like Luke.
Oh.
Oh.
Ooh.
Did I come through alright? I was crying.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, proper.
Oh, yeah, that was fine.
Thank
Are
you.
You
you okay?
Oh yeah, no, I'm fine.
A classic question.
Yeah,
Acting.
if you'd said you liked her romantically, oh wow, that would have been an even. Whew, that would have been a whole thing too.
The
I'm
uh
just gonna have to do it at dinner.
the little hints everyone's dropped.
Yes, thank you.
And
thank you.
the
It tried
huge
to be-
hints. And the huge hints as well.
Some of these are not little hints, they are blunt questions. They're just
Which-
hitting a slightly
such as?
blunter wall.
Yeah. But
Such as
as
like Scoop.
I mean,
Business
some of the scoop
partners
things.
are more than friends. What is wrong with you?
I mean, as a DM, like, I'm loving this, but there are little bits that I pick up on that no one else does, and that's.
Yes.
I live for.
hope you enjoyed that. Mwah.
Chat, are you okay? That was wild.
Oh,
That'll be a
I
fun
have
to rewatch.
feelings. I have so many questions. I have no answers, but only questions. My God.
I don't need sleep. I need answers.
Thank you, everyone, for coming to this session. Thank you once again, players. It was lovely playing with you all. We will see you next time. And as always, don't forget to stay inspired.
Stay inspired.
Stay inspired.